G'day from Miami after the Miami Grand Prix. And what did the drivers drive to the track? Well, two of them drove in what I think will be the best two cars I will see all year. And there's one other bonus car. Well, it's not even a car. It'll blow you away. I'll start with the current world champion, Max Verstappen, in a monster F-150 Ford. Now, I had a flick around on the internet to see what these things start at, and I found Midway Ford right here in Miami offering them from 43 grand US. They are big trucks. In Australia we call them utes, utilities. But Ford is an upcoming engine supplier to Red Bull, so that's why they're driving Fords to the track. And yes, I can tell you Sergio Perez was also in a Ford, an Expedition. And Christian Horner was in an F-150, just like Max's. The driver's car park is pretty much at the back of the stadium. But going back to the first year, it was just on the other side of the track from the start-finish line. But that meant the drivers had to walk up some stairs and across a walkway. So that was canned, and for the last 2 years we've had it in this spot. Now that Stake is not linked with Alfa Romeo, we don't see Alfa Romeos at the track. So we look at Zhou Guanyu and Valtteri Bottas. They were driving Audi SQ7s. And where were the drivers staying? Well, most of them, from what I can gather, were staying right here in the heart of Miami and making that 40-minute, 50-minute drive out to the track. But their drives were typically unhindered because they had police escorts. And I had a chat, you might have seen my other video where I mentioned that the police department charged $75 US per policeman for those services. Let's go to the Haas drivers now, both of them in BMWs. But do these drivers line up at an airport rental counter like the rest of us? No, they don't. The teams book their cars through a company called F42. So while they could be driving an Avis car, they won't be lining up at the counter. Instead, they go out to an F42 tent in the car park, grab their keys, and they're off. All the paperwork has been done well before they get to the airport. And F42 also do MotoGP. And the good news is, if you're running an event, small, medium or large, you can get onto F42 and say, hey, can you take the pain out of renting cars for your guests and customers? There is no job too big or small for F42. So if you haven't checked them out for your next event, I urge you to do so. There's a link in the description, or you can head to f42travel.co.uk. There were 4 drivers this race in Mercedes. Let's go to the Williams drivers of Alex Albon and Logan Sargent. Alex was in this lovely GLE 350, while Logan was driving the GLA 250. Of course, most of these cars are petrol, so they'll be needing fuel. I can tell you at the moment you're paying anywhere from $3.50 a gallon for regular to $4.30 a gallon for premium, which works out to about €4 for a gallon. Now in Europe, I believe at the moment you're paying around, say, €2 for a litre. And Americans here still whinging about the price of fuel, but they get a very good deal here. I'll come back to the other 2 Mercedes cars in a moment. I'm going to talk now about VCARB drivers Daniel Ricciardo and Yuki Tsunoda in exactly the same model car, the TLX Type S. And it doesn't have a Honda, it has an Acura badge on the back. I don't understand too much about the tag system here, but both cars have 3421 as their main numbers. But Daniel's has 79P written down the side, while Yuki has 99J, but they're smaller numbers. Oh, and I also mentioned this in a previous video, but if you didn't see it, have a look here at the car air freshener. It's a VCARB version from their launch on the Wednesday night prior to this race. We often see drivers driving big SUVs in this country at all 3 races, and that was the case with Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. Different manufacturers. Oscar in a Chevy Tahoe, Lando in a Cadillac Escalade 600. And we had, in fact, a couple of other drivers in that exact same model car, an Escalade 600. They were Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon. And even their team principal was driving an Escalade. In this country, these are luxury SUVs, and certainly a size. Now, I want to throw in a rather unusual car. Now, it wasn't at the track. It was parked at the front of my hotel, the Hilton Aventura. And when I walked out in the morning, it absolutely assaulted me. I've never seen a Pterodyne Gurkha before, but this is what one looks like. It's based on the Ford Super Duty F450 or 550 platform, and as best as I could tell, they started around $272,000. Are they armoured? I believe so, and I think they're used by law enforcement and also the army. This one is the civilian version of it though. We had 2 Aston Martins in the car park, and it's probably not surprising to learn that they are both Fernando Alonso's and Lance Stroll's. One day maybe we'll see Lance Stroll coming in something that is not a DBX. Now I'm going to run through with you the 2 best cars that we've seen all year, and I think maybe the 2 best looking cars that we see for the rest of the year. Ferraris, of course. This is Charles' 296 GTS, and this is Carlos's 296 GTS. And you will note that the light blue of Charles matched his F1 car, and the same for Carlos's. And if you've been under a rock and haven't seen, yes, Ferrari had blue on their cars, 2 different shades of blue, but not over the whole car. It was just on the halo, it was a stripe here, and their side mirrors were also in blue. We've seen them in 296s before on numerous occasions, but nothing with such a glorious paint job as these two. These cars have New Jersey plates, and they were part of Cavalcade 2024. This is an event for Ferrari drivers. It was held in Miami. There were some 70 odd Ferraris involved, and the price to enter, I'm told, is $58,000 per car. Who owns these cars? I'm not the man to answer that question, but here they are passing through the start of that cavalcade here in Miami. And apart from the lovely paintwork, I just adore the white wheels. And if you live in the US and you're thinking about buying one, I just had a look online here and I can see them quoted at around $372,000. But you'd get to wherever you're going to very quickly and with a lot of looks. And that just leaves us with 2 more drivers, being the Mercedes drivers of George Russell driving a GLS 450 and Lewis in the EQS 580. He does drive the EQS quite a lot. That is an electric car, starts at about 126 grand as far as I can tell, in the US of A. Now I'm going to head down to, I think, Key Largo today and have a look in my Chevy Malibu, which is a nice car and pretty good value too, nothing quite as flash as what the F1 drivers were driving. But I'm off to Bologna shortly and I rented a Maserati, a Ghibli to be exact. And I did see that Fred Vasseur was in a Maserati as well, a Grecale. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed, now's your chance. Here's a list of other sites of mine that you're welcome to check out, and I'll now say thank you for watching and stay passionate. Shut up.